Hey everyone, this is Matthew Kent. Welcome back to my car. Welcome back to Theology on the Ground. Welcome back to Daily Thought for My Quiet Time. Today, continuing in Hebrews chapter 7, Jesus is better than ... which is my alternate title for the book of Hebrews. And I'm going to include, I wanted to start at chapter 7, verse 23. I'm going to include verse 22 just because you get another sort of Jesus is better than statement. Verse 22, this makes Jesus the guarantor of a better covenant. So in other words, Jesus introduced a better covenant than the old covenant. Verse 23, the former priests were many in number because they were prevented by death from continuing in office. Of course, Jesus also died, but he rose again, conquering our enemies of Satan, sin, and death. And he ascended into heaven and is now seated at the right hand of the Father, living forever. Verse 24, but he, Jesus, holds his priesthood permanently because he continues forever. Consequently, he is able to save to the uttermost those who draw near to God through him, since he always lives to make intercession for them. So Jesus is better than the priest because he needed a lot of priests before. First of all, just because, they were going to keep dying. They were just mortal. So you would need, when one priest died, to replace that priest, and so on and so forth. And Jesus now lives forever to make intercession for his people. Also, and it hints at this a little bit later on if you continue in the chapter, and then also later in the book, they would have to continue to offer up sacrifices regularly. And Jesus was able to once for all time perfect those who have been drawn to him by the Father by his once for all sacrifice, the giving up of the perfect Son of God in exchange for the rebel sinners, that redemption that happened there. So yeah, book of Hebrews, Jesus is better than all this other stuff. It's also good reading the book of Hebrews, and there is mention there, even the verse I mentioned reference the old covenant, right? You have the old covenant and the new covenant. And really it's, the Christian faith is not like a pivot or a plan B or a redirection from the Jewish faith. Really, the point of the Jewish faith was to point forward to the Messiah, to Jesus. And so it was kind of like God saying to the people of Israel, look, you guys aren't going to be able to just kind of get it in full because the Messiah has not come. Jesus isn't here yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to point you towards Jesus, to point you towards the Messiah, to point you towards what the covenant is really going to look like. And so I don't really think that God had one set of rules for the Jewish people and one set of rules for us. It's kind of like that. And there's aspects of the Old Testament law that certainly just applied to them. And, we don't need to offer up the blood of bulls and goats as sacrifices. But then again, this book, the book of Hebrews, is going to say later on, well, hey, the blood of bulls and goats could never take away sin anyway. So you have this aspect of, and other verses in the New Testament make this clear, like it was to point toward Jesus. And then you get the book of Hebrews reflecting back on it all, saying, hey, and it was all just, a shadow of the substance that belongs to Jesus. That's actually a quote from Colossians. But the Jesus is better than all that stuff anyway. Those are the thoughts from my quiet time. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.